Now, a veteran radio host in Australia has sparked outrage over the weekend when he was secretly recorded as saying John Gillard, that's the father of the current Prime Minister, Gillard, that he died of shame, his words, because of his daughter's lies. Mr. Gillard passed away unexpectedly just a few years ago. The shock jock is Alan Jones. He's the top-rating morning talk show host in Sydney on Radio 2GB. Others will know him as the former coach of the National Rugby Union team, the Wallabies. He's a well-known Conservative. He's made those controversial comments, rather, to a political fundraiser for young Conservatives. For more, we're joined now by David Lipson from Sky News Australia in Canberra. And David, Mr. Jones has apologised, but it came with this sort of laundry list of qualifications. If anything, that seems to have made matters worse.
Yes, it certainly has. He apologised in a very lengthy media conference yesterday, but argued that he was taken out of context, also that he didn't know he was being recorded at the same time. Today, he's written an opinion piece in the local newspaper in Sydney, the Daily Telegraph, where really just about a quarter of that opinion piece related to his apology in his own words. The rest of it he really used as an attack on the Prime Minister for, in his words, her lies, for saying that she wouldn't bring in a carbon tax and then bringing in a carbon tax after the election. So that has really led, as you mentioned, to even more outrage, even more calls for him to be sacked from his very popular radio show on the radio station 2GB. And we've also seen a number of major sponsors start to pull advertising as well today. Some international companies like Mercedes-Benz and Lexus, and also Woolworths, the giant supermarket chain here in Australia, all pulling their advertising from 2GB. So clearly it's starting to have an impact, and alongside that, and very much in relation to that, tied to that, are these online campaigns that are just growing by the hour. An online petition which is titled Sack Alan Jones is gathering about 100 signatures every minute or two at the moment. It's currently up around 24,000 and growing by the hour.
David, so it looks as if Jones is now doubling down on those comments, but in context here, Australian radio announcers or hosts, they do make a lot of controversial comments. So why is this one causing such outrage?
Well, I think it's because Alan Jones, who has for a long time campaigned relentlessly against this minority Labor government and the Prime Minister, Gillard herself, has actually crossed a line in many people's minds because he has attacked the Prime Minister's late father, who just died a few weeks ago. The Prime Minister was clearly very affected by this. She came home early from the APEC trade conference in Vladivostok, Russia, a few weeks ago to mourn for her father. She was visibly upset. She gave an emotional address to Parliament about her dad, and this comment from Alan Jones is being seen by many people as just crossing that line, being beyond the pale, because he went after Gillard in relation to a man that she obviously loved dearly and was mourning deeply for, in saying that he probably died of shame because of his daughter's lies. And as I say, this has drawn some stinging attacks from all shades of politics, but particularly, of course, from Gillard's own Labor Party.
And David, you mentioned 24,000 signatures on a petition. I think that's unheard of. There's been this Facebook page, and there's been a very swift reaction. But it has to be said that Alan Jones is a part owner in the radio station that he does his morning show from, so it's pretty unlikely he's going to fire himself.
Exactly right, exactly right. He is a part owner. He's also one of the nation's most popular and powerful and enduring radio presenters. He's been right at the top of his game for several decades now, and he carries a huge audience, a very powerful audience as well, very much on the conservative side of politics, but nonetheless powerful. You could compare him to Rush Limbaugh from the United States, for example, in his reach and his power, and also his conservatism. And you know, he is someone who has, as I mentioned, campaigned relentlessly against Julia Gillard personally. He's led several protests on Parliament House, which have drawn pretty large crowds as well. So he does draw a lot of water, and even if he wasn't a part owner of this radio station 2GB, it's probably unlikely at this point that he would be sacked because of the large listenership that he enjoys.
Yeah, he makes a ton of money for the radio station is the bottom line. He survived controversy before. Chances are he'll probably survive it again. David, thank you. David Lipson, giving us some good details there about this controversy in Australia.